wonderful stirring start. Good afternoon to you all and welcome. My name is Rosie Kaplan and it is a privilege to be officiating at this funeral of service of thanksgiving to honour the life of Elizabeth DEAS, known to you all as Betty. And before we begin, we will acknowledge her life with the tolling of the bell 3 times. Betty's family all thank you for coming here today to acknowledge and farewell her with your love and your care. After our committal and petal scattering here in Sanctuary, they invite you to join them in the adjoining Braden Hall. Here we view a slideshow of pictures from Betty's life. This DVD was made about 14 years ago. The quality may not be great, but your memories will be sparked, and for newer friends, you will be able to see Betty as a younger being. This slideshow will be followed by a wee whiskey toast to Betty, and some light refreshments, lovingly made by Betty's daughter-in-law, Lynn. And this is a wonderful opportunity to share memories and stories about Betty. No matter where in the world, a funeral service allows us to express our love, appreciation, and grief when we lose someone we care about. And this service is brought together as a final act of reverence, you, Betty's loved ones and friends. The book of Uccelese offers, "For everything there is a season, a time for every matter under heaven, a time to be born, and a time to die, a time to sow, and a time to harvest, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance. For everything there is a season." And today we meet to celebrate the season of Betty's life. Gone from our sight, but never our memories, gone from our touch, but never our hearts. I was told that the bagpipes were calling Betty home. She died peacefully in the care and loving embrace of her family. Even though Betty was ready to go, the death of someone close to us, even when it is something they wanted, can be one of our most moving experiences. But as we accept life, so must we accept death. For death is one of nature's unchanging laws. Let today be a comfort to you as you come to terms with your loss. And I invite you to farewell Betty by surrounding her with your love and your tenderness. Catherine Sanders wrote, "All love leads to loss. If we commit ourselves to another person and form an attachment, we will surely have to relinquish that attachment. It may be through death or some other form of separation. Either they leave or you do. This is not the issue, however. What is important is that sometime in our life we must face and deal with loss and separation. For some, it may happen later in life. For others, it may occur earlier and more frequently. Frequency, however, doesn't make it any easier. When separation occurs, we will grieve. We will suffer. No one is immune. It's the price we pay for commitment." I didn't know Betty, but speaking with Andy and Lynn the other day, I learnt a little about her. I learnt about a nice, intelligent woman who had been outgoing and friendly, a beautiful singer, a good mum, and someone who was open to what life offered her. Back in the day, she liked rock and roll dancing, and while she was still limber enough, bowls. And to acknowledge this, I will read Roll Up by Norm Murray. Sir Francis Drake knew what to do. When the Armada loomed, he finished off his game of bowls. England was never doomed. By his example, we all know, without a trace of bias, the roll-up's the important thing, whatever else may try us. In pairs or fours and triples too, our days are measured out. To drive or draw to either hand, it's what life's about. On green and rink in dazzling white, to our best game, we're true. So when your bowls are in our way, we'll wait to follow through. In sun or breeze, we're on the mat. Enjoyment is our aim. And if the weather's not too hot, we'll never skip a game. So while in life we're all obliged to play so many roles, I'd like to spend eternity with others playing bowls. I would now like to hand over to Betty's son Andy and her grandson Glenn to give her eulogy.
Hello everybody, thank you very much for your attendance today to farewell Mum. You all knew her. I've got it written out here because I'm not a very good public speaker. I don't know how far I'm going to get with this, but bear with me if you can. Mum was born in Cowdenbeath, Scotland in 1929, and even till her passing was a very proud Scot. In her early years in Scotland, times were very tough, pre-war and during World War II. Mum grew up in a coal mining area with her two brothers. Her elder brother Jim was a bobby, a policeman in Scotland, and her younger brother David was a coal miner who was killed in a mine collapse at the age of around about 30. Mum's first job was as a nurse, and after that she spent some time working in the double-decker buses as a conductor, collecting tickets and selling tickets, as you know. She became a mother in 1952 to a handsome, debonair, blue-eyed wee baby boy named Andy. And then in 1954 gave birth to an ordinary daughter named June. After which they decided not to have any more children. No flame and wonder. My dad, Jock, was a butcher when he left school, and poor pay made him move into the mines to seek better recompense. And after that, it was such a hard job, they made a huge decision to leave family and friends and their home in Scotland that they loved and emigrated to Australia. My dad came in 1957 and Mum came in 1958 with the two kids, with June and I, to get Dad out of the mines for a better life in Australia. I was 6 and June was 4. We arrived in Australia with nothing but determination and a few pounds in their pocket. They enjoyed their life in Australia, as June and I still do. When we arrived in Australia, we were fortunate enough not to have to live in a migrant hostel accommodation, but lived with my dad's auntie and uncle in Sydney for 18 months until they bought their own home in Hurstville. It was hard for all of us, and when I was 17, Mum and Dad divorced and were apart for 17 years. When Lynn and I married in 1974, Mum decided to return to Scotland to live, to see the remaining years of my grandmother out. And Mum had holidays in Australia, Dad had holidays in Scotland, and in 1986 or thereabouts, Dad was over there in Scotland and they met up again, and he popped the question to remarry, which they did in Ballina Presbyterian Church. It was a huge wedding, really, really huge. There's 6 people. There was a bride, Mum, Dad, the groom, and a bridesmaid, June. And I gave Mum away and was Dad's best man at the same time. June's husband was the photographer and Lynn was the witness and congregation. The wedding reception was at Victoria's Barn in Broadwater, and their second marriage lasted 29 years, happily until Dad's passing in 2015. Not only did Mum have a handsome blue-eyed son, an ordinary daughter, but she had 4 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren. As was said before, Mum really enjoyed her bowls and won a few championships. And she was a very good singer in her church, and life was revered for her, and was revered in the church for her Bible readings. Apart from that, she was a very, very good seamstress, dressmaker, and anything to do with sewing. And knitting was also her forte. She couldn't crochet if her life depended on it, but knitting was exceptional. I can attest to that. There's none better than her own mother. Mum was the leading light in my life, and she was responsible for all my good points and good looks. Blame all the bad points on me alone. In her later years, Mum enjoyed a wine and scotch every night. Wine at 7 and scotch at 9, and having helped the staff if they were late. Bless her soul. Mum was a vibrant, happy person with a great personality, but ageing changed a lot of this. She loved life and enjoyed a good laugh, and it was sad to see her slipping so badly in the last few weeks. Her life faded and her passing was very peaceful. She'll continue her journey and be invited again and united again with her family and second husband, young Jock and old Jock. Same person. Rest in peace, Mum. Here's your bag. Till we meet again. Thank you.
Did good, old boy. Didn't think you were going to get through that, but you did good. This is from my youngest brother, Nan's fourth grandchild. I'm the oldest grandson. I won't say oldest grandchild because there's the old one over there. This is from my littlest brother, Mitchell. I'll never forget the times as a boy when you looked after me, always with open arms and warmth, while I was annoyed at Grandad. Butter couldn't melt my mouth. Grandad would be harassing me and you would tell him to leave the poor little boy alone. Grandma always had my back. From her, the perfect shortbread, to the toasted Vegemite sandwiches wrapped in foil to take with me fishing. You were truly an amazing lady. Rest in peace, Grandma, forever in my heart. So that was from Mitch. When we were growing up, we always thought the best thing about Grandma was her accent. It's like we'd piss ourselves every time. Sorry about that, but we would. And it just made us laugh. Like no matter what she said, we couldn't understand a word she was saying most of the time, but we just rolled with it. But no, Grandma, a lot of people say this at a funeral that they're a beautiful person, one of the better people you'd ever meet, blah, blah, blah. But, well, you guys know, there wasn't a better woman, really. She was the most kindest lady you'll ever come across. And, yeah, rest in peace, Grandma. See you the next slide.
Thank you. You did well, Andy. Before we continue, I wonder if there's anyone else here who would just like to say a few words. No, it can be quite daunting in this more formal environment, but there will be plenty of time for you to share memories and stories over refreshments in the hall afterwards. Each one of you here has known something of the love and life Betty has shared, and you will each have your own personal and unique memories of her. We now have a time for reflection, and I invite you to bring a particular memory to mind, a moment you have shared with her, a story she may have told you, or an aspect of her personality that was unique to her. Perhaps you can use this time to make your own personal thanksgivings for what Betty has gifted to you through her living. The music that will accompany this is Amazing Grace. These might be words that Betty would like to say to us now. I'd like the memory of me to be a happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when life is done. I'd like to leave an echo whispering softly down the ways of happy times and laughing times and bright and sunny days. I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun, of happy memories that I leave when my life is done. Betty's earthly life has come to a close. Please, would you all stand? Betty was a Presbyterian and often did the Bible readings on Sundays. So, to begin our final farewell, let us join together in saying those familiar words of comfort, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. With love and appreciation, we bid you farewell, Betty. We ask that you now be surrounded in the deepest of care and in the deepest of love. We ask that the love you gave go with you on your journey. We say farewell to you, Betty, knowing that our relationship with you must change. We will miss those things we love about you. We will miss hearing your voice and seeing your face and your warm smile and feeling the touch of your hand. We cherish the memory of your words and deeds and character, but most of all, we cherish your love. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose on earth. A time to be born, and a time to die. Here, in this final act, in sorrow but without fear, in love and appreciation, return Betty's body to the stardust from which it came. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. Would you take your seats again, please? Led by Betty's family, we will scatter petals onto Betty's coffin to our final and very fitting piece of music today. Once you have scattered your petals, please join the family in Brandon Hall to watch the slideshow, have a toast, and share refreshments, memories, and stories. The music is The Flower of Scotland, the unofficial Scottish national anthem.
O flower of Scotland, early see you're like again, that fought and died for your wee bit hill and glen, and stood against him. Proud Edward's army, and sent him homeward. Autumn leaves lie thick and still, o'er land that is lost now, which those so dearly held have stood against him. Proud Edward's army, and sent him homeward, they think again. Those days are past now, and in the past they must remain. But we can still rise now, and be the nation again that stood against him. Proud Edward's army, and sent sent him home while they think again. The hills are bare now, and autumn leaves lie thick and still. O'er land that is lost